And Maddie, you sent a reminder or an email to the whole board about the gifts report. Everybody cool with that? You got that or know what to do with it? Okay, cool deal. And Mr. Owens, are you available to make a motion?
I move that the Ethics Advisory Board recess into executive session for 30 minutes to receive information and legal advice on 2 ethics complaints pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 for legal consultation with Ethics Advisory Board's legal counsel, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship for legal advice. The executive session is required to protect the attorney-client privilege and the public interest. The executive session on this matter will begin at 6:03 and will end at 6:33.
How about 6:04?
6:04. It takes us a minute.
Exactly.
6:34.
34.
And the Ethics Advisory Board meeting will resume here in the multipurpose.
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's do it. We got to
self-diagnosing on my report. Or at least that's what my instructors.
Let the record show that no binding action was taken in executive session.
Sir, and I will jump into this. Give you a copy. Yeah. So the first order of business is complaint number 2022-01. This was a complaint from council member Brian Fry. Filed the complaint. The complaint alleges that the mayor, Brandon Whipple, openly advocated for Casey Yingling to be hired as assistant to the mayor, and that he interfered with the hiring process on or around February 16th, 2022. The investigation, of course, included the review of the complaint, the mayor's response, the city personnel policies and hiring practices, documents provided by Human Resources and by management. And a summary of the facts includes that the Code of Ethics policy was adopted May 11th, 2021. And Ms. Yingling was engaged and employed in various capacities prior to that time. So of course that is not a part of the decision-making today. She was first hired in a temporary part-time capacity, and then and that was when the mayor first started in office, but he wanted a full-time assistant and wanted to hire her, but regardless, that was a temporary engagement that ended early in the mayor's term, and then other staff were used after that to fulfill various roles assisting the mayor for that period of time until January 2022, when things changed. Prior to that, there was at that time, there was an organizational analysis requested by the city council to the staff, and the staff completed that analysis, and adjustments were made to staffing to better support various elected officials. And then in 2022, January, one of those key staff announced retirement. And so therefore, the assistant to the mayor position was updated, rewritten, retitled to assistant to the mayor, posted for hiring. And in January and February of 2022, the applications were accepted, screened, interviewed, that kind of thing. During that process, there were 5 initial applicants. Some were qualified and some were found not to be so much through the screening process. One candidate withdrew on the day of the interviews, and that was one of the 2 that were going to be interviewed, leaving Ms. Yingling as the only person being interviewed. She was interviewed by a 3-person panel, including the mayor and 2 others, and was hired. So in section 4 is the applicable section of the code. I'm reading from the draft of your report for your consideration for a vote here shortly. The section of the code involved here is the one that says, quote, refrain from patronage and do not interfere with the hiring process. In order to maintain the integrity of that process, officials should refrain from expressing an improper interest in the hiring process. So findings of the Ethics Advisory Board. I'm summarizing, that's why I'm I'm trying not to read this word for word. Okay. So of note, the EAB's decision would be limited to evidence and facts occurring after the enactment of this ethics policy, May 11th, 2021. The witnesses interviewed denied that the mayor had any directly or indirect or direct interference in the hiring process that occurred in early 2022. The evidence provided did not support the allegation that the mayor interfered in this hiring process or openly advocated. Now, the second part of the complaint alleges Mayor Whipple interfered in the hiring process by participating in the interview on February 16, 2022. The EAB does know that the mayor was on the interview panel, but also found that the procedures and the hiring policy were generally followed. And there was no indication of an ethical violation, no substantiation of an ethical violation by the mayor. While he did participate in interviews, that is common with elected officials in the city of Wichita to participate in interviews for staff who work directly in their office and in their community service roles. Therefore, the proposed decision here for your consideration is that the EAB does not find a violation of policy 39 based upon the evidence provided. So that's a summary of the report that you all have discussed, and the floor would be open for a motion about that report, and there's some recommended motions on your agenda.
Now I'll move that we adopt the report on ethics complaint 2022-01 as the findings of the ethics advisory.
I'll second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt this report. Any questions, concerns, thoughts? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion does pass 5-0. The second item, second case, this is bringing up again the case that you all decided at the last meeting. Mr. Stout's 2022-05B. The document I'm about to summarize from is not only the report passed 2 weeks ago at the last meeting, but revisions. So the second paragraph is in bold. It's all new. And that is that Mr. Stout filed a response after that meeting that is a request for additional review, which is according to policy. We told him he had 7 days to do that, and he did that. So, and that additional review request is on a dispute of the facts or an interpretation of the code. So if you flip over to section 6 and 7 on page 3, this is all new. Everything I just skipped was all in the original report from 2 weeks ago. So section 6 is a summary of Mr. Stout's response. He takes issue with the complaint form provided and the procedures followed by the EAB in the meeting on March 9th. He disputes the conclusion about when he was blocked on Facebook. Now he's telling us in his response that he was blocked from the mayor's Facebook page in 2020, when the mayor allegedly used that page to disseminate governmental information during COVID regarding restrictions and such. These were additional facts that were not in the original complaint. However, if we were to consider them, we would now remind everyone that this policy did not exist till May 2021. So the EAB cannot really address facts or allegations that occurred prior to that point in time when the policy came into existence. Mr. Stout also references facts about participating in a public Zoom conversation with the mayor that was live streamed on Facebook on October 27th, 2022, which eventually he got into the Zoom and participated in, and the board would not see that as changing its original, as any reason to change the original decision. He also lists a court case and some articles to support his position. So the final determination of the EAB is multifaceted here. So A, the original complaint filed October 31, 2022 failed to pass initial review because it was not notarized as required by the policy. And Mr. Stout had concern about our dating it in December, and that's why once it was notarized, the revised complaint was filed December 20th. And that is the official complaint that was investigated, not the one that was not notarized and given in October. B, the complaint form states that what information to provide, including instructions to attach copies of documents. Mr. Stout attached to the form a 2-page document he drafted. We considered that. He did not include some of the new additional information he's now putting in the response. C, the board substantially complied with its procedures in initially deciding Mr. Stout's complaint. D, the EAB correctly relied on the information provided in Mr. Stout's original complaint Regardless, if the clarifying or new information provided now had been considered, such as Facebook blocking in 2020, then the complaint may have failed to pass initial review or would still have been denied since the events occurred before the policy was in existence. E, portions of the response that do not create a dispute on the facts of the complaint or interpretation of the code are not within the board's scope of review. And finally, F, the additional legal authority and articles provided do not alter the original decision. For example, the court case cited was Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University v. Trump, later recaptioned Biden v. Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University, which is from the Southern District of New York and the Second Circuit. This newly provided case was actually cited by the court in the Swanson v. Griffin case, which was discussed previously in this matter, which the complainant offered in his original complaint. On appeal, the U.S. Supreme Court actually ordered the Knight case be sent back to the Second Circuit for dismissal as moot. Although decisions from other circuits might be persuasive in some circumstances, they are not typically binding on the 10th Circuit nor on Kansas courts. In Swanson, highly summarized, the 10th Circuit mentioned the lack of weight of the Knight decision when the Swanson plaintiff tried to rely on it. Additionally, the other sources complainant provided do not establish binding law. So in summary, the board has considered carefully the complainant's assertions, and the original decision of the EAB set forth above is hereby affirmed. Again, I didn't read the whole document because most of it is the same from last meeting. And hopefully that meets with your approval, but if there are any questions, comments, or motions regarding this case.
Well, I would move to adopt the revised report on ethics complaint 2022-05B as the final determination of the ethics advisory report.
Second. Second, Krisha. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, anything? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Our next meeting is April 13th. That's a couple of weeks away, right? Maybe 3, I'm not sure. We'll be busy at that meeting as well. There are several more cases. And if we're able to do anything before that, then I'll shoot a note out and we'll see if we can find another date. But I mean, probably not before that, but if it's possible to have another meeting in April, for example, so we can continue to dispose of cases as quickly as possible, then we'll let y'all know and put that out there. Any other questions or thoughts before we adjourn? Go Cats. How about that one? That work? That work for you? Go Cats. All right. Well, we are adjourned. I think I have 6:47 or so.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. All right.